All right, so surgery day. There's the building. There's me. There's the missus. Trying to pretend like she don't want to be on camera.
I don't.
Hey, what's up, everybody? And I'm back sharing with you my journey with gynecomastia and the gynecomastia removal surgery. I decided I want to share this with you guys because there's not a lot of men out there talking about it, and there's little information about what to expect going through the process. And if you haven't yet done so, go check out the first video. So what I want to talk about today is what happened on surgery day, and also I want to talk about what you can expect leading up to the surgery, including consultations and cost and all that leading up to today, which I want to talk about the actual surgery process. Depending on how bad your gynecomastia is, there's different ways you can go about it. It could just be something as simple as liposuctioning, which is less invasive because they just, make a small little incision and stick their little liposuctioning scope or vacuum. I don't know what it might happen to be. And they'll suck out the fat. Now, 10 years ago, I had a process called Vaser liposuctioning done. Basically, they went in with what they call Vaser or laser, and they melt the fat. They use a laser to cut off the fat and melt it, and they suck it out. Unfortunately, that was not a fix to my problem. When you have true gynecomastia, it's not just fat. It's also breast tissue. Your surgeon should be the professional and should be professional enough to tell you that what you're getting ready to pay for will or will not help your cause. And I was not told that 10 years ago, and it took me this long to get the funds together to be able to go back and do it again. That surgery, if that is what you need, your doctor should be able to tell you that. And that surgery 10 years ago cost me it was a little over $3,000. Now, for me, I actually had the fat and the actual, breast tissue and glands or whatever else have you that needed to be removed, which is a little bit more, I shouldn't say a little bit. It's a lot more invasive of a surgery. But again, it depends on what your specific needs are. I like to use myself as an example because I feel like I was worst case scenario. I had, the gynecomastia was really bad for me. It was really bad. If it's a milder case, what the doctors, besides just sucking fat out, what the doctors may be able to do is make an incision around your areola, so they don't have to necessarily remove the nipple, but they make an incision around the areola, and they can actually go in and pull out the breast tissue and suck the fat out through a smaller incision, and they can just stitch that back together. Now, my case was a lot worse than that, and they actually could not just go in through the areola. They had to actually go in, and I'll show you here again. You can see my incision scar, and it goes all the way up and around. Now, I'm hoping that some of that scarring clears up, but if not, there's creams, and I'm actually considering doing tattoos to cover up the scars. Expect to pay somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000, depending on where you are. The other thing too, as far as cost is associated with this, is be prepared to be off of work for upwards to 2 weeks. It will depend on what you do for a living. I do two main things. I drive for a living, and I'm a DJ as well. So you have to think ahead. For me, the springtime is coming, and I wanted to make sure that I scheduled my surgery around the slow season for weddings. I don't know if you've ever had to carry DJ equipment, but it's very heavy. Post-surgery, I was only permitted to lift up to 5 pounds. Depending on what you do for work, you may be off work for longer periods of time. The other thing I do, I drive for a living as well. So I was fortunate that I was able to get back to driving within a few days. I had anticipated being off of work for at least 2 weeks. So I would, on top of the $7,000 to $10,000 that you might be looking at paying, also anticipate on whatever your income is. I don't know what your income is, but you know, you might want to put away a couple extra $1,000 or hundreds or tens of thousands of dollars or whatever it is that you make in a couple of weeks. You might want to have that sitting aside too, just in case you are unable to work. That is definitely important because the cost can go a lot deeper than just the cost of the surgery alone. Now, as far as insurance, this is an elective procedure, which means that it wasn't necessary. It was plastic surgery, wasn't necessary. It was something that I chose to do or elected to do. Insurances don't cover elective surgeries. So you're probably not going to get your insurance to pay for that. There are some exceptions that are very, very rare and very, very unlikely to happen. And one is if you could somehow prove a medical need to having the procedure done, such as, you know, the threat of breast cancer, which does happen in men. And don't quote me on this, but I do believe that the likelihood of breast cancer happening within men is a lot more likely if you do have the gynecomastia condition. There was one unexpected expense. I was not expecting this at all. Did not know this because this was not discussed with me prior to the surgery, and I haven't seen any other information out there regarding this one unexpected expense. And it wasn't much. It wasn't much, I have to say that, but I was not expecting it still the same. Depending on what state you're in, which is almost all of them, your doctor may be required to send your breast tissue off for pathology. Basically, they're going to send it to another lab and check and make sure that your breast tissue is healthy and there's no tumors or anything cancerous or anything like that. I did not know that that happened. I was actually kind of shocked when I went in for my very first follow-up visit after the surgery, when they had told me that, you know, hey, your pathology came back clean. And I said, what are you talking about? I had no idea that they send it off to another lab, which was great. I'm glad it came back clean. But a week or so later, I got a bill in the mail for that. The bill was somewhere in the ballpark range of about $300. So it wasn't the worst thing. But I do have to say this, that part was not elected. You know, that was not an elected part of this procedure. My insurance did cover part of that. And it just depends on what your insurance, you know, what your insurance covers and all of that. Also, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, before your surgery, after you get you do your consultation and they give you your cost and you decide that you want to go ahead and do it, you're going to be asked to do a physical. They're going to want you to go and see your primary, and they're going to give your primary some forms to make sure that you are safe to be operated on. So all of that is what you can expect leading up to, you know, the surgery itself. I get to the facility the morning of the surgery. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. Captain's vlog. All right, so surgery day. There's the building. There's me. There's the missus. Trying to pretend like she don't want to be on camera.
I don't.
Better get used to this. It's going to be a regular thing happening. All right, so I'm ready. I was a little nervous, but not so much anymore. Ready to just go on here, get the surgery done, and see what happens. I was taken into a prep room. You know, I was taken into a prep room where they put the hospital gown and all of that on me. They asked me a few more questions. There were some verification questions. And I was trying to remain calm, but I tell you for sure, I was really nervous. We understand that you're nervous, but we've got something that will fix that. Okay. And yeah, they did. They gave me something that fixed that nervousness. They pushed me into the operating room, and all I remember getting into that operating room, I remember how bright it was. I mean, like, this room was like seriously bright. And there was a lot of people in this room. I mean, like, it was more people in this room than I had ever expected, but it reminded me of TV. And I remember saying that to, like, when I got into the room, I was like, man, this looks like TV. I remember they transferred me from one bed to the next. And then they put the little mask over, the oxygen mask or whatever it is. They put the mask over my face, and that's it. That is the last thing I remember. I remember having some sort of a dream, but I can't really tell you what the dream was. But as far as I knew, only 2 minutes had gone by. And I thought that I was waking up during the surgery, and I freaked out when I woke up, right? And I woke up and I was... It was just like this big gasp, because I thought it was over. I thought I was going to look down and my body was going to be cut open and I was going to be bleeding and there was going to be pain and all of that. Like, in my mind, it was over, right? And I gasped, and I remember seeing all these people run into the room like, are you okay? You okay? You okay? And they were like, I'm like, I'm dead. I'm dying. And they said, no. You're in recovery. The surgery is over. I said, what? They said, not only is the surgery over, you've been asleep for like an extra hour. The procedure in of itself took like 2 hours to do. And for whatever reason, my light just went a little dim on me. I'm going to lighten myself up just a little bit there. I remember feeling a little nauseous. They do give you medication for nausea. And I remember just telling everybody who worked there that they had nice teeth. I said, everybody here has really nice teeth. And I went home and I slept like a baby. I think I probably got the best sleep of my life. I think I was still under anesthesia a little bit. Plus, you know, being a little nervous about it, you don't really sleep really well the night before. But I went home and I slept like a baby. You know, I slept like an absolute baby. It was good. It was good. Good sleep. I got a lot of good sleep. I wasn't in a whole lot of pain. They gave me like some, prescription painkillers, which I only took for like 2 days. I didn't want to be on prescription painkillers for very long. I was on them for 2 days, and then after then I switched to like Tylenol, but the pain wasn't really that bad. But I'll talk about that more in a future video. So once again, I definitely appreciate you all tuning in, and hopefully you guys will find this information helpful. And like always, me being as long-winded as I am, I feel like I'm going to have to do a lot of editing, so you guys don't get bored. So, hey, love, peace, hair grease. Check out part 3 coming at you very soon.